Now, organization is key whether for yourself or for your team members, and there are different ways of organization in Nuke, whether inside or outside the software itself. For example, sticky notes, groups, and backdrops. Another thing called gizmos will be covered in a future course, but for now, let's just focus on these three nodes/elements. Let's first start with sticky notes. Hit tab and search for sticky note. These are probably used very sparingly and mainly in teams. Personally, it is a bit useless in my opinion, but good if you need to make some small notes and stuff like that. As you can see, you can even adjust the font if you'd like, and the boldness, the italicize, even the size, which basically enlarges or scales down your sticky. Next, we have the group node. Now, grouping is a bit similar to pre-comps in After Effects, and also even very similar to pre-comp, the node in Nuke. But the difference between the two is that the pre-comp actually creates a separate script, while groups actually create a little group inside your one script. So you're not kind of sending an outgoing file out as a connection to the group. So what a group node basically does is that it groups them all into one single node, and then you can enter them and do things in them contained in this one node. So let's just try that for a second and actually group something together that makes sense. Now I think I'm actually going to group the lady before we do the transform. So before I do this transform, she's actually right now in a perfect frame. I'm going to group this entire chunk right here. Move this up so it's easier to select. I'll actually delete this point. It's not really being used, and also delete this point. So I'm going to group this entire chunk using the group node. Basically, you can either hit tab and then type group, or, which I prefer the shortcut key, Control G or Command G on the Mac, and there you go. Now it will ask you which one you want to choose as an output. So in this case, I believe we are using the merge node as the output, so we'll do that. Click OK. So that's basically saying that I want my output arrow to be that merges output node, that merge nodes output. So basically nothing has changed and nothing should change whenever you view the next step in the node web. Now, how do I go back in? Let's say I want to do something with this. I don't know what these numbers mean. How do I go back in and find out or do my adjustments? Well, there are two ways. Actually, there are many ways, but basically what you would do is just go to Edit, selecting the group node, group, and then you see all these functions right here with the shortcut keys. So basically it allows you to collapse the group, opening up the group, Control Enter, and then of course you can break up the group by going to Control Alt G, which is expanding and disbanding the group, like a clan in a game. So let's actually go inside and see how our group looks like. So I'm going to go to Open Group Node Graph. Now they actually created one here for us for the initial group node that I used, which I didn't have anything inside. So basically you can see how it works, where it has the input and then outputting to something which then connects to the main node graph. So that group might have been confusing. I'm going to delete that. It's this group basically. Delete this. Also delete random sticky. And now you can see group 2 node graph. And you can see the inputs coming in as well as the output coming out, which is actually from the merge that we selected, making it easy to have things coming in and going out, connecting very smoothly to your main node graph. So let's actually break up this group right now. You can do this later, but I'm just going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to select my group node, Control Alt G. You can see that I just broke it up and that group node 2 node graph is gone, and it's still connected as if nothing has happened, which is great. That's exactly what we want for organization, not affecting the effects, but more like just cleaning things up. So again, another good way to organize your stuff, and hotkeys are usually preferred and they are quicker to access than the top bar menu in Nuke. So it's better to use shortcut keys than going all the way up here, hitting edit, going to node, going to group, and blah blah blah. Now the next organizational tool or node you want to look at is basically, oops, I didn't delete this. It's basically the backdrop node. Now you might be wondering how I got these, and that's because those are the backdrop nodes. Now obviously if you have nothing selected, it's going to show up some random point right here. And that's not what you want, so I'm going to delete these. Basically, these are much better than stickies as they are kind of like visual groupings instead of actual groupings. So instead of grouping things and compressing it into one node or just having a sticky pointing things where they are, they actually visually group them together. So it's easier for you or someone on your team to essentially find out where things are and what things are what. And it also allows you to color code your groups, label them, and change font size. This is most commonly used in many studios, at least in my experience, and that's because it is very visually stimulating and easy to identify. For example, if I want to group this entire background as a chunk, or actually just before I did the key, here's what I would do. I would just select the nodes that I want to group, hit tab, search for backdrop node, and you can see that I instantly create a visual grouping of the nodes that I've selected. You just have to select the nodes. Double click. I can change my font size to kind of match this one as well. So I'm going to change this 20. I'm going to say background plate. There you go. Save. Oh, perhaps I should also add roto painted shutterstock text if you like. You can add as many details if you want. And you can use all caps, small caps, etc., etc. It's entirely up to you. Now, of course, colored backdrops are similar to colored nodes. You can also change the node color. For example, let's say you want to change this color correct node to a different color here. I just go up here and then change the color. You can see I'm actually changing it right now to an interesting color over here, pink. But of course, it is actually much more efficient and much more easier to do it with the backdrop node, since they are visible at the first level and can be moved around as a group easily. As you can see, I'm only moving the nodes in this backdrop node. So for example, if I want to make all backgrounds yellow, click on this, let's change this to yellow, close, and voila. Now, backdrops within backdrops are also possible for easier organization. So let's just say if I want to make sure that I know where the original clip is, I'll just select these and I'll create a backdrop within a backdrop. And then I just label this however I want. So let's see, original background. And I can still move these. Make sure that my node is inside here, and I'm gonna just scale this out using this little triangular thingamajiggy right here. And I can actually move all these, including the backdrop, together as a group. And if I want to move this individually, I can move it individually as well. So, now that you know a few good organization tricks with these nodes, here is a quick exercise. Go ahead now and use groups and backdrops and stickies to clean up your node graphs in all your files and work. Make it look like these examples here, if you can. And with that, finally, we are going one level up in the next lesson with dun dun dun, efficiency hacks that only the pros know about. Wink, wink.